special meeting called by several of the council members in reference to the council herself wanting to hire a separate attorney. I don't understand, but I can have them explain, you know, what they're projecting to do. Do you have a spokesman?
I'll volunteer to kick things off tonight. The mayor gave me credit for this issue on social media, and frankly, I can't claim that credit, but I do strongly endorse it. Tonight, there's 5 signatures on tonight's agenda, and the council people have strong feelings that this is the right thing to do in the interest of the taxpayers and the citizens of Crittenden. We want things to be legal. We want the city to be legal. We want the actions of the council to be legal. We want actions of the mayor to be legal. And I think we can all agree that the citizens deserve this, and it's in the citizens' best interest. The main interest in this is evident from our prior council meetings. Those of you that have attended in public, those that have seen videos, those that have seen posts on social media, can see the contention that has existed, and borderline illegal issues have been pulled back at the last minute. And had that not happened, we would be facing more illegal issues that had to be reversed. The feelings among the council were strong, unchangeable at this point, and really not up for debate. It's our right. It's our right to hire a legal counsel to represent the city council. So tonight, I want us to formalize this by having a vote to initiate the hiring of an attorney for city council that represents us for an indefinite period. I want to qualify indefinite, though. I'm hopeful that the council can gain confidence in our new city attorney and his impartiality. And frankly, on a personal note, I want you to know this. My daughter's an attorney that's known our new city attorney for, what, Alex, 10 years? And she gave him, to me personally, glowing endorsements. So I'm hopeful this is a short-term request for dual attorneys. But one of the things that I feel strongly about, and the council feels strongly about, is trust is earned. It's earned over time. I think we can do that quickly, and I'm hoping this is not a prolonged event. So, with that, I'm hoping to quickly, at this meeting, to go through a motion to formalize this so that we can hire an attorney for the short term, and then the second item is to establish a salary structure for that.
At this time, I would like to mention that I reached out to a new city attorney, which is Alex Edmondson out of Crittenden County. Like Joe said, he has various reviews. I've got to know him in the past 2 weeks. I met with him maybe 3 times. I didn't know him prior to talking with him the first time. The council and myself have had some disagreements, but at this time, there is no illegal proceedings happening. We don't need an attorney to go fight for us in court. There's nothing that's not in the open. Yeah, we have some personal issues that's going on, and I'm hoping the change of the atmosphere and the way the tables are set, and us as adults can come together and move this city forward. I've not been innocent in it. You know, I've said things on social media, but you know, when things hit me emotionally, I will speak out for myself. I'm hoping things will change with this new city attorney. My recommendation is not to hire another attorney for the benefit, or for the reason that it's going to cost the taxpayers quite a bit more money. And there is no reason to hire one other than the fact that the council are upset because Kentucky League of Cities have put a restriction for them to call them and to get involved. They don't want to get involved in a mediation with personal issues with myself and council, and that was the main reason why they recommended, I didn't ask KLC, but they recommended that there be a restriction sent out to council so they couldn't call down there and make recommendations and try to, you know, get people in trouble and say we're having, doing things that we shouldn't be doing. But we have an attorney to go to. He is someone that's already proven that we can call him and he will return our calls immediately or text us back immediately. We've had some issues in the past, and I discussed this with Mr. Doozy, that with our last attorney, we might not get a call for a week later. Ordinances aren't ready on time, and you know, we couldn't get a hold of him, and I thought there was some conflict with him sitting on fiscal court as well. Anyone else on the council would like to state how they feel that's different?
Mayor, did you get an opinion from the Attorney General about a possible conflict of interest from the former attorney the city had, Pete Whaley? Any conflict of interest? Did you get an Attorney General opinion on that?
No, but he couldn't be considered a city attorney. He could only be a legal advisor. I was advised by several mayors that we needed a city attorney, not just a legal advisor, but a true city attorney to support our city. Anyone else have anything to say?
As for me, myself, I have not spoke to any of the council on this. And I think with the new attorney, we need to give him a chance before we go out and spend more money. I own a business in town, and I live in the city limits also. I pay a lot of taxes. I pay more than anybody on this council. And me, myself, I don't want any of my money going for another attorney. I think we need to give this gentleman a chance, and that's my opinion.
Did anybody try to contact you? Did anybody leave any messages or anything?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
At my place of business. Yes, they did. Joe did twice.
Okay.
This is Mr. Alex Edmondson. I just wanted, if I didn't introduce him, and you know, he's remarkable. I would hope the council would give him a chance. He's going to be neutral. He's going to be someone that's professional, and he was assistant mayor of Crittenden, Alex, at one point in time, and has worked for several cities, and he knows municipal law. And I as a new mayor and 5 new council members, I felt like this was the best decision for council and myself, you know, for personal reasons and business reasons, and hopefully start afresh and you know, move this city forward. And it's going to move forward. We're on the crisp of you know, Walton's boomed, and you know, they've grown, and now Crittenden's next in line. And you know, I want to see things happen in a positive way, and I think he can add to this city government. Anyone else?
Well, just 2 other comments before I ask for a vote here. The mayor's unilateral decision about limiting our access to Kentucky League of Cities really set me back. It set me back from the standpoint that they're a key resource. Many of you may know or may not know that they write a number of the statutes for the General Assembly. They know the spirit and intent behind those statutes beyond what's written in them. And they've been a valuable resource from us from our initial training as councilmen to date. But the mayor unilaterally stripped us of that access. They can give us a quick response to questions versus having to study handbooks and case law as amateurs to make that happen. That reduced the council's ability to have good, legal, quick advice and representation. And at the last council meeting, I suggested that we put a placeholder in next year's annual budget in the event that we needed to do this. But what prompted this now is that the abrupt firing of our former city attorney that has all the optics that the mayor couldn't influence him on legal decisions. And if you look at the videos, or if you've attended the last council meetings, you'll see that he was starting to align with how council sees legal issues. That's the only reason I can think of for his termination. So both of those things have prompted tonight's meeting. We feel we're lacking in legal representation. It is our right, page 71 of the Kentucky League of Cities handbook, for us to have that. And I said before, I hope it's short term. The new candidate is a very good one, at least from a reputation standpoint. And I'll be the first one to say, I hope he lives up to be the man that my daughter thinks he is. And I'll be the first one to know we don't need 2 attorneys, but we've got critical things coming up at us right now that couldn't wait till the next budget cycle. We've got large expenditures on the trailer park, on Oakwood, and we've got the new budget that's coming. We need sound legal advice if we're going to move forward quickly. If we want to put the brakes on, then we shouldn't do this, and it could extend for a long period of time. So we need to do it quickly. I strongly believe we need that representation, and I'm hopeful that we can get through it very, very quickly in a matter of months to establish trust and not need dual. But 5 council people that signed this feel strongly about it. It's our right, it's our responsibility, and to do the right legal thing for the city, I'm convinced in the short term, that's what we need to do.
Let me. Mr. Whaley was attorney for Dry Ridge, and I was advised that Dry Ridge had more lawsuits than Florence and Covington combined. I didn't want that for Crittenden. I didn't want to see that happen. There was things that I contacted Mr. Whaley about that I never got a phone call back, and we never got the ordinances back. We're on a time crunch schedule, and I made an executive order for our city, not just for me, but for you, to hire Mr. Emerson, to keep us from a lawsuit that would cost us possibly thousands of dollars. As I can see Mr. Brockman back there, he can testify to that. He's came in as a new mayor, and he has a budget that he has to look at, and lawsuits that he's facing right now because the representative of that city failed to do a good job. I spoke with Mr. Doozy last week and offered him that restriction to be taken off of him as pro-mayor Tim. I have respect for Mr. Doozy, and I asked if he wanted that restriction off of there. I would trust what he would do as a councilman, and that wasn't good enough for him. He wanted it all for all the council except for Ms. Humphreys, and that he decided at that time to tell me that this wasn't fun anymore. He might just be stepping down as pro-mayor Tim and as a council member, and if that's his choice, then I will respect that. But in a nutshell, that's what happened.
Mayor, what restriction were you talking about
KLC.
being lifted?
Yeah, the KLC restrictions,
So you were the one that told them not to talk to us anymore?
KLC was called because there was a meeting canceled one night, a special meeting by another council member, got on Facebook and canceled that meeting, and I tried to call Pete to see what to do. As a new mayor, I've never had a council member cancel a meeting. And she sent an email, put it on Facebook that the meeting was canceled because they didn't have a proper agenda. I called Mr. Whaley, who could not be reached. I called KLC and spoke with Chris Johnson. And I said, I don't know what to do. Do we have this meeting? Do we not have this meeting? I told him the procedure of what happened. Mr. Livingston said it's a special meeting announced at the previous council meeting. We would not have to send out a separate agenda. The newspaper knew about it. We put it on the door. That was okay. Evidently by the KLC manual that it wasn't. When I called him and asked him, he said, we don't want to be involved in the middle of anything with Crittenden. He said, I can send an email all around to the other attorneys and let them know that the Crittenden Council, or Crittenden the public also, go to their attorney if they have any questions, the attorney can contact us. I said, thank you. That will cut down on some of the friction that's going on. That's exactly what happened.
So you were gonna be able to lift that restriction and tell them,
I'm not even sure. I was gonna
Well,
try for.
one last comment. In the last week, since my meeting with the mayor, I've reached out to two private attorneys who, one here in northern Kentucky and one in western Kentucky, one who's been a city council and county attorney, and another who's a 40-year city council and council attorney in western Kentucky. And the prime example here is both of those attorneys gave me guidance that what the mayor did with KLC was illegal. His advice was just ignore it, reach out to KLC, they're there to do it, they're a private entity, and they have to give you the service.
Now, you
That
just
advi-
mentioned.
That advice just came in the last few days. I haven't exercised that. I've honored the mayor's unilateral decision, but now you can see why it's an issue. That's a restriction that should have been imposed, at least based on the two attorneys I talked to, and her private unilateral
Now, you
decision.
just mentioned KLC is, they unfettered, information for you to contact them, but yet you're saying that KLC, when they recommended that restriction, was illegal.
I haven't talked to KLC about it because of your mandate.
Well,
Nor is
they
it- nor is it-
sent an email out to all the council, correct? That, not to contact them? Because I've never sent anything out.
Only your verbal communication to us here.
Yeah,
No. Somebody got an email from KLC, one of the council members that said that, that they put it into that.
I don't know anything about
You might contact them, then you might have access. Didn't we ask Mr. Whaley to contact them? Probably didn't happen.
that.
Yes.
I did not. I was honoring your mandate.
And you and Mr. Whaley spoke that one night about contacting them. He told you the KLC didn't want to hear from the council, and you had talked to him, he said he would call Morgan Patterson, KLC. Did that ever happen?
he did say that.
Okay. I don't know. He never came back and said that he contacted them. That's one reason, Joe, why, is because we needed to move on with the city attorney.
Well, this has been an interesting dialogue, and we've dug up a lot of bones here. But the same issues on the table here. 5 council people here feel strongly that we need to have our own attorney till we gain some confidence. And we have the legal support that we need. We don't have that today.
I recommend the public, anybody from the public want to stand and talk about, this is your taxpayers' money. It's going to go for something that's not necessary. How many attorneys do you have, Mayor Brockman? One attorney.
I don't feel that we should waste tax dollars on another attorney for them, just for them to go to. That's a waste of tax dollars to have 2 attorneys.
I agree. Anyone else?
Yes, I would agree with that statement. I appreciate the job that you're all doing, and you want to do it legally and right. I understand that. But in agreement with you, I cannot understand why we need 2 attorneys. Do the other cities in this county have 2 attorneys?
No, sir.
And for their board, it's one man or one individual represents the
That's correct.
entire system.
That's
And,
correct.
okay, help me understand, because it's my first time here. Mr. Whaley was appointed in January.
January.
Was he the attorney for the city prior to that? Was-
No.
Okay. Does the board nominate him or elect him, or is that your
The
responsibility?
council, I allowed the council to, I could have, and I allowed the council to pick who they wanted as our city attorney at that time, which you cannot be a city attorney if he is being on legal, excuse me. You cannot be on physical court and be our city attorney. He's assistant county attorney for Grant County, so he can only be a legal advisor. We kind of felt for him, coming from Dry Ridge, and we didn't know the whole story about what happened while he was let go there. And we gave him a chance, and it didn't work out, and things like that happen. We have to go with what's the best interest of the city, and you, and the public.
All right, then the appointing of the new attorney,
Yes,
is that a board decision too, or is that your?
that was an executive order from myself
Mhm.
to appoint him.
And he will represent the city and the board and you.
That's
and
correct.
all of us at the same time.
He represents the whole council and the city. Now, I don't understand why they want another attorney also, and I don't know if they understand that another attorney would be representing the city, not them personally, or their personal issues if they have, if something happens and they feel like that they're going to be sued for some reason. That's not what that attorney's going to be doing. He's covering the city and, not anything personal with the council members.
And that would be, yes, that's the way it should be, I would think.
Yes, sir.
See, one of the things too that an attorney could do for council is when people on council need copies of records that are in the office. We've had some people on council try to get copies of things. There was one person that had charges or a report of something like harassment on her because this person was coming trying to get copies in the office. To this day, this person on council still has not been able to get the copies that have been requested. And an Open Information Act, you're allowed to get those. And there's been things going on like, no, you're going to get them charged, we're going to charge you 50 cents a copy, where the state mandate is you only can only charge 10 cents per copy. There's been things going on like that.
Let me explain that. We have a young lady that has worked here for 19 years as a clerk that comes in crying now every day and having some emotional problems because of one individual on council that consistently gave her a hard time. And one of the city recommendations and ordinances says if we think that this council member that wants those records are going to do something to interrupt someone's position, that we do not have to give that. The Attorney General has that ongoing right now to decide whether she gets the paperwork that is a procurement policy or the personnel policy or not. We're leaving that in the Attorney General's hands. And there was an appeal because they didn't get that open records. But Mr. Martin, I have a whole stack of receipts in the office right now that you requested that you never stopped by to pick those up. It took us half a day to make copies and you never picked those up. We will give you those copies.
I want to say thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. But there's more to city government than what a lot of people, don't see. We're busy in there, we're making copies, and there's been some issues with some of the employees and their jobs and interruption of jobs and wanting job titles and descriptions. We'll give you those, but you can't step in over your boundary and try to do things to the employees when it's not your position. And that's the reason why those records weren't given out. And it was 25 cents a copy, which, that's paper. It's paper, it costs money. If you want a book, a procurement policy that's 250 pages or so, what reason do you want that? Are you looking for things to try to get people in trouble? Are you trying to get somebody fired, on their job? It's questionable why you would want that.
Okay, then back to the original
Yes, sir.
question, rather than going to Mr. Whaley, why would that council person not go to Mr. Alex? Okay, thank you, sorry. And ask him the same question, ask him to either intercede for him or her, or explain why what he or she is requesting is out of line. Is that?
That's how that would work, yes.
Yes, okay. So we really don't need Mr. Whaley to do what Alex would do.
Well, the question
Or
is
should we?
now we don't need a second attorney
Uh-huh.
to ask that question or get those, they would go with Mr. Evans,
Right.
council.
And again, no other city in the county has such an arrangement.
And not in this county, but other counties,
Okay.
other cities, yes.
Well, I'm sure there's other issues out there, there's 120 counties. We're one of them, but we might be as consistent as possible, I would think, too, with the overall.
I feel the two attorneys would eventually butt heads because he's our attorney for the city and council wants a special one for them. But that can't be done because it's using taxpayers' dollars to pay less second attorney. And he's not just for them, he would be for all of us.
I agree.
I think, I'd like to speak, please. I think you're missing the point. The point is that we need a mediator between the council and the mayor. She is speaking about me as far as harassing city employees, which is something I've absolutely not done. Also, I'll let you know, just in case anybody hasn't read it, off of the Grant County News today.
No, you're not the floor. If we're talking about an attorney, we're not talking about Facebook, okay?
Yeah.
You don't have the floor to talk about that.
Mr. Evans, can I finish what I was saying?
If it's pertaining to
It
general
does.
discussion.
It does pertain. It does pertain. So, what is being said on Facebook is to this extent. If Ms. Thurman needs an attorney, let her pay for it. This person, I have no idea who he is. She was not acting as a council member when she attacked an employee. So this is the kind of thing that's going on out in the public, and we feel that we need a mediator between us and probably what I foresee happening here is that the attorneys will, like Joe said, give us time to rebuild that trust, and these two attorneys be our mediator as they function in normal life, so that we could get our, just as this happened when she tried to shut me down, whenever I want to talk about something, she slams that gavel, and we just feel like we're not getting our voice heard. We need some help. And we don't want to spend extra taxpayer money, but we also want to make sure that you all are well represented, and she's taken our voice away just by these kinds of actions, and accusing us, and especially myself, of things that I have not done, would never do. And I hope you all would believe that. But anyway, that's all I have to say. I would like to have your blessing that we have at least a short-term arrangement for a council attorney to help us mediate this and get us to where we can move forward in this city with city business and in a professional manner, and stop this kind of thing going on Facebook and in
agree.
public meetings.
And I agree, but when a state police says there's harassment, there is.
I've never been
But
I believe that,
contacted.
I believe that we, Ms. Donna here, she can vouch for, as assistant clerk, we've had to bring her in more days to pay her because we have to make copies and we have so much going on in this city. Have you ever seen this city move in like this or have this much excitement? It's because we're working. We're here working, answering phones, trying to take care of drain pipes, trying to take care of the city, the Worthington Trailer Park cleanup, and so forth. We don't want to be harassed, or we don't want to be intimidated. We don't want to be run over top of while we're trying to do the job. And that's what started this. What we want to do, just a moment, Roger, we want to come in and we want to do our work and we want to answer the phone and take care of the public and do things in a professional manner without being jumped on or without employees being interfered on their job. That's the only thing that we want for the city.
You're off track, isn't this about the attorney?
Yes, it
Can we
is.
vote?
And that's about the attorney we don't need.
I'm gonna make one comment, and you can try to shut me down, that's fine, but you hit the key word right there when you said intimidation.
Right.
That goes both ways. You have intimidated this bunch, you've intimidated citizens, you've intimidated business owners, you have done your best to intimidate me.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, I have it all in writing, believe me.
Whatever you say, Robert.
Bizarre behavior is all I'm gonna say. That's all I gotta say.
Because you didn't get your way over something, you.
What are you talking about, Mayor?
Yeah, the scheduled meeting nights, when things don't go your way, you get.
I didn't say anything about scheduled meeting night. See, you're making accusations against me over that. Prove your accusations or shut it down.
I can ask you to leave if I want to, Roger, I'm the mayor. common attitude.
No, this is our meeting. We call this meeting.
We've talked,
Yeah, I've got a question as well. Thank you. I asked for, I had 2 record requests
Yes, you do.
last week, I believe. Got them on time, no issues. Thank you, thank Megan, whoever. But I do have one question.
Sure.
For Paula, or Jennifer, to get her paper, it would be a quarter apiece. You charge me a dime.
Because it was like 10 pages, not 200. Okay, let's
There-
move on.
There's no way,
No,
there should be,
we're
there
not
should not
talking
be
about
a,
that. We'll talk that in the caucus meeting, okay?
that should not be a standard.
Let's stay on track. It's not a standard, that's a book this big, okay?
But if it's 10 cents a sheet, it should be 10 cents a line.
Okay, we'll charge you that next time, okay, no problem.
see, here's kind of the conundrum that we're under.
You don't have the floor, no,
May I have the floor?
not right now, thank you.
Would the council let me say anything, or it's up to you all, would you like to move on?
Yeah.
I have 2.
Please.
Please.
And I'll take the podium if you guys don't mind, because
Sure, thank
I don't
you.
like talking to your backs. It's really to the citizens. And thank you, Mr. Newsing, for the kind remarks earlier. I certainly haven't learned anything in this city, and I appreciate that. So I am Alex Evans, and I've been practicing for 19 years. I was 24 years old when I was elected to the city of Covington as a commissioner. At the time, and still quite possibly was, I was the youngest elected commission member of a second-class city in the state of Kentucky. And I learned a lot about what I did wrong the first year and a half. I learned what it was like to sit on councils, because we were elected every 2 years in a commission form of government where the mayor had no more power than the other commissioners. So there was 5 votes, I was one of the 5. I learned what it was like to be manipulated, I learned what it was like to be taken advantage of, I learned what it was like not to be able to get along with people I worked with. The first 2 years was tough. After the first 2 years, I started to figure it out. I started to figure out that we had to work forward with the city and try to move forward. I was there for 6 years, total of 3 terms. We did a lot of good things. I learned a lot in my 20s. I have to report in 44 and I made it through. As a city attorney, I want to stress to you that I don't work for the mayor. I work for everybody. My cell phone is open, my email is open. If you have questions, feel free to contact me. And I don't know how this is going to end up, or if you all are going to run me back up and say, you need to go back to where you're from. I don't know anyone in this room, with the exception of the mayor and Donna, who I've met twice. Mayor 3 times. I mean, I don't know anybody in Crittenden. Frankly, I just passed on the interstate without paying attention. But I'm here to pay attention. I'm here to go to work, to try to do the best I can. There's some proposed ordinances, there's some things out there that I've looked at that need some attention. That's where the focus of the city needs to be, on the contracts that we have with people that are providing services to you.